Okay, so for my part of the presentation, I'm going to talk about the character's analysis. I'm first going to talk about the President Merkin Muffley and then General Buck Turkenston. I'm going to go in depth about their reaction to the nuclear war, their mindset, their leadership, and the similarities to the Cold War. President Merkin Muffley is an interesting character to analyze, especially in the war room scene where General Turkington informs him about the unauthorized launch of Plan R. Muffley stands out as the calm and rational figure in a room full of chaotic energy. When he hears the news, his reaction is measured. He doesn't panic or lash out, but instead he tries to understand the situation. You can tell he's horrified by the thought of a nuclear war, but he keeps his composure, focusing on finding a way to fix the mess. This shows a lot about his sense of responsibility. He's not just thinking about military strategy, he's thinking about the lives at stake and the bigger picture. Muffley's leadership style is very diplomatic and logical. He wants to handle the crisis in a way that avoids escalation and prioritizes peace. He's the kind of leader who believes in procedure and rational decision making. That said, there's a downside to this approach. In the crisis of the war room, with people like General Turkenston dominating the conversation, Muffley's calmness can come across as a weakness. He's soft-spoken and polite, but sometimes that politeness makes it hard for him to assert control. He struggles to cut through the absurdity of the situation, and that makes him feel a little ineffectual. It's like he knows what needs to be done, but doesn't have the forceful personality to take charge in such a high-pressure moment. Muffley's character highlights a bigger theme in the film about the dysfunction of leadership during the Cold War. On one hand, his moral clarity and rational thinking are exactly what you want in a leader during crisis. On the other hand, his inability to stand up to the more aggressive, dominant personalities in the room shows the limitation of this style of leadership. He's almost too reasonable for a world that's gone completely mad. In a way, Muffley represents the voice of reason that gets drowned out in a system driven by paranoia, aggression, and power struggles. His character makes us think about what kind of leadership really works in a crisis, and whether rationality alone is enough to handle the absurdity of something as big as a nuclear war. And as for General Buck Turkenston, he is one of the most overstated and memorable characters in the war room scene. In the scene where he explains the unauthorized launch of Plan R, Turkenston's personality jumps out immediately. He's aggressive, militaristic, and almost childishly competitive. Instead of reacting with horror or concern to the news of a potential nuclear war, he treated it like a military exercise, something to be managed strategically rather than morally. You can see how his mindset is all about action and dominance. He's excited by the situation, even eager, as if this is just another opportunity to prove America's superiority. He doesn't pause to think about the millions of lives at risk. Instead, he dives into how they can still win. Turkenston's leadership style is completely centered on military skill. He's the kind of person who sees every problem as a battle to be fought and won. In this scene, he suggests launching a full-scale first strike to take advantage of the situation, framing it as a smart move to minimize Americans' losses and crush the Soviets. His cold numbers-driven logic is chilling. He talks about casualties in the million as if they're just numbers on a scoreboard. This attitude highlights how detached he is from the human cost of his decision. Turkenston treats the crisis like a competitive game, more concerned with winning than with preventing a global crisis. One of the things that stands out about Turkenston is his energy. He is loud, animated, and physically commanding. He moves around the room, gesturing wildly and often interrupts others, including President Muffley. He doesn't just participate in conversations, he takes over. His dominant personality completely overshadows Muffley's calm and rational approach, and you can feel how he thinks military leaders like him should be running the show. He sees civilian oversight as a nuisance, and his behavior reflects a larger tension between the military and political leadership during the Cold War. What's also interesting is that Turkenston doesn't really see the flaws in the system he represents. Even when explaining Plan R, a military protocol that has basically gone rogue, he defends it confidently, brushing off its catastrophic implication. He doesn't seem to grasp or doesn't care that the system is spiraling out of control. This makes him a perfect symbol of Cold War militarism, someone so focused on power, strategy, and dominance that they lose sight of what's at stake. In the end, Turgenstein is both absurd and terrifying. He represents the reckless, competitive mindset of Cold War military leaders who treated nuclear war like a joke. His energy and confidence might seem like strong leadership qualities at first glance, but they reveal a dangerous inability to see beyond the mechanics of war. Turgenstein shows us how dangerous it can be when the people in charge are more interested in winning than saving humanities. Thank you.